Does retatrutide increase metabolism? Well, in this video, we'll talk about what retatrutide does. Does retatrutide actually increase calorie burn or just help you eat less? In animal studies, it led to more fat loss even when calories were matched. Maybe it's more than what we thought. In human trials, liver fat dropped sharply and fat burning markers went up. But we still don't have clear data showing how much it raises metabolism in people. So let's break down what we really know. And we'll talk about what we don't know, which metabolism is kind of a nuanced word, which basically, let's just transfer it into energy expenditure as we talk about metabolism. But really with retatrutide and many of these other GLP-1s, retatrutide has a very different profile. When you combine glucagon, so it's a triple agonist, it's the GLP-1, it's GIP, and it's got glucagon. Now you've got this whole matrix of blood sugar stability because glucagon increases blood sugar just a little bit. The GIP brings blood sugar down, so it's got about 8 times more GIP than tirzepatide does. So it's a big pulse there. And then you've got the GLP-1 from an appetite suppression perspective. GLP-1s work phenomenal. It does delay gastric emptying. Retatrutide does seem to have fewer side effects than like tirzepatide. And so in this video, I'll deconstruct how retatrutide works differently and how it does impact metabolism. So I'm Regan Archibald. I'm the founder of Ageless Future. We are a longevity-based medical clinic that looks at gathering the right testing at the right time so that you can have a predictive future when it comes to using some of these medical innovations to help you live longer, live fuller, perform, look, and feel your best at any age. I'm going to show you today how this triple igniter, we'll just call it the triple threat, retatrutide. Dan Sullivan has this tool called the triple threat. So retatrutide, Dan, this one's for you. It's a GLP-1, a GIP, and glucagon. So the triple threat. And how these work is the GLP-1 and GIP influence appetite and metabolic signaling for blood sugar, but glucagon is where the metabolism discussion, it intensifies because preclinical data suggests glucagon receptor activation increases hepatic fatty acid oxidation and thermogenesis. So what does that even mean? Well, it gets rid of fat in your liver, so your liver can burn through fat more effectively, so it's not getting stored as an energy source. Thermogenesis is the formation of increased metabolic function or increased temperature. And that shifts your body's fuel use towards fat. And especially if you're into exogenous ketones, this can be a really healthy adjunct. The other thing that retatrutide does when it comes to metabolism is it turns on a gene called PGC1 alpha. Now, this is the gene that triggers mitochondrial biogenesis, and the mitochondria are the energy packs inside of your cells. Now, you may think like, I don't want to use more energy. Shouldn't it be the opposite? I should just be able to function on very low energy? No, it actually means when you can utilize energy more efficiently, that's when you can rev up your metabolism or you rev up your body's energy expenditure, and that's beneficial in the way that you can use energy now instead of storing it for later. The human body is really good at storing energy, and that was necessary because our ancestors didn't always have food. You know, they had periods of starvation. But now you want to use that energy as fuel source instantly so that your body can stay nice and trim and lean and metabolically fit. Now, if you look at the thermogenesis, you know, if you shift the fuel towards fat, a mechanistic overview is a journal of articles. And what they did is they took these models of rodents and they had comparisons that showed animals receiving retatrutide analogs lost more fat mass than animals consuming the same calories. That suggests something beyond appetite suppression that may be contributing. I mean, that's fascinating, right? In human trials, phase 2 obesity trial, weight loss reached over 24% at higher doses. You know, we don't have large-scale metabolic chamber data directly confirming significant increase in metabolic rate in humans, but mechanistically, it is plausible. And definitely proven in humans, I don't know, but I'm seeing it come around. Even the fact that your heart rate initially is going to increase when you're on retatrutide, that just is one of the examples that shows it is sparking a little more metabolic engine. Now, at the higher doses, some of the side effects, the synesthesia with the skin, where you get tingling in the skin, the nausea, small percentage of participants had nausea. Gastroparesis is not nearly as amplified with retatrutide as in what we've seen with like semaglutide or the studies on tirzepatide. So here's a study, human calorie clues. It's a 2024 phase 2 sub-study published in Nature Medicine, examined retatrutide in 98 patients with obesity and MASLD. So over 48 weeks, they looked at liver fat reductions, and they found that they had a reduction of over 82% on average. They looked at the beta-hydroxybutyrate levels, and that increased in a dose-related manner. So more ketones or beta-hydroxybutyrase, the higher the dosing went. And so that's what they mean by dose-related manner. And so if you can increase your beta-hydroxybutyrate, that suggests increased fatty acid oxidation. Now, that doesn't automatically prove higher total energy expenditure, but I think we're moving in that direction that would indicate a shift towards fat utilization. Now, that's what I want. I mean, we all have fat storage, and I just look at it as energy for later, but it's that energy that you want to expend. You don't want to build up your savings account. You don't want to have too much of a savings account on your belly, for example, dudes. Broader phase 2 data set, again, it showed weight reductions approaching 24%, and these additional mechanistic discussions highlight possible nighttime biomarker shifts. And when they were looking at it through calitramine data, they found that in humans, we do have some strong data, but it is still limited. So what we're looking at is there is an evidence of weight loss, major liver fat reductions. You're turning on that PGC1 alpha, so you're getting better mitochondrial spark. We're having a decrease in systemic inflammation, which that in and of itself allows for the cell signaling to improve. So your metabolic engine turns on. And what we're leaning towards is this biomarker signal that's consistent with fat oxidation. So can you consistently burn fat and increase your beta-hydroxybutyrate? What we don't have is a definitive large-scale confirmation that resting metabolic rate rises beyond what would be expected from weight loss alone. And so these data gaps, they're exposed. They found that these thermogenic signals are robust, but we still have a little ways to go. But they looked at brown fat distribution and thermogenic responses, and they found that is what happens in these rodent models, that white fat is metabolically inactive. It's when the mitochondria clump to the inside of the cell. They're almost like huddled together. They're like, we don't want to work. And then finally they get activated and they go to the surface of the fat cell, and that's when fatty oxidation happens. And so that means when you go from white fat to beige fat, you get this turn on of fats where you can start using it as energy. One way you can do this is put yourself in a cold plunge, and then you'll turn on that metabolic engine pretty darn quick. Just don't stand too long. Hypothermia is real, but cold exposure can be very helpful. So retatrutide, what it does is it's likely shifting the fat utilization into fat oxidation, and that influences energy expenditure. And it gives us proof and evidence that there is a sustained metabolic increase that's independent of weight loss alone. Like I mentioned before, think about the 12 hallmarks of aging. 2 of the hallmarks of aging, loss of proteostasis, so your inability to break down proteins, and loss of nutrient sensing. So retatrutide, you're getting better signals through that GLP-1 pathway. You get a little bit of delay in gastric emptying, so it gives your digestive system, as long as you've got the right enzymes, better signaling pathways. If you increase your hydrochloric acid, you can break down these proteins. And the beautiful thing about retatrutide is your appetite's not muted. And that means a lot of people on the higher doses of tirzepatide, for example, ended up having low case of malaise and slight depression because they turned off that reward system. Retatrutide doesn't seem to be doing that. It's a full metabolic reset. It's changing the signal, changing the station so that your body can actually understand what's noise and what's signal. And so if this is something that's fascinating to you and you want to go deeper to find out what are the best peptides for me, how can I extend my lifespan and health span, what are the regenerative medicine therapies that I should be thinking about at this stage of life, all you need to do is go to agelessfuture.com and schedule a free intro call with one of our health ascension specialists, and they'll help point you in the right direction. I'm Regan Archibald. Thanks for being on the channel.